GruntSlingers really grew out of my love for the fantasy genre, which, aside from some Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings here, you don't get a whole lot of that in Hollywood, and especially not a fantasy western like we're doing. I wanted to do something that had fantastic elements because I enjoy it, and I love the stories you can tell with those sorts of those elements. And because we're in Utah, I wanted to take advantage of the natural landscape, and that's where the idea for a fantasy western came from. A fantasy western in our script is basically, it's a world that is very much like what a Lord of the Rings kind of medieval, lush forest, fantasy-scape, something you'd shoot in New Zealand, that kind of thing, that everyone sort of associates with typical fantasy. And taking that world and having it decimated and turned into this desert wasteland by some of the wars and things that have happened in the past. And so humans are sort of left to cling to outposts. And it's a real blend of that medieval sensibility of clothing and armor and turned into Western because of the conditions that people have had to live in. And so it's really melding those two genres together in a way. And it's been sort of a unique challenge because it's not something people have seen very frequently, and in fact I can't name a whole lot that has been done in that sort of vein, and gives us a real unique opportunity for creating a very stylized and interesting world. This script basically covers, we've already ended up in this desert world, but you'll see some of those trailings of that fantasy aesthetic in the current predicament that people are in the clothes and the sets and whatnot. It focuses on an eternal hero who's called Hunter. He's an immortal. He's been around since those times and led up to now, and then a group of people that he enlists to help him in hunting these mystical creatures called grunts. And so this is the basic storyline where we come in. He's been doing this for forever and has probably gotten a little tired of it. So that's basically where we are and where we're going to be telling our story. Well, our story really focuses on this character who is, I like the idea of a hero out of his time, and that's sort of what this focuses on, is this individual Hunter who was called to save mankind and has now been doing it for a really long time, and the world has completely changed from when he started, and how he's sort of at odds with that, having a difficult time finding his place anymore in this world. And then our story concerns where he meets up with a sort of sarcastic band of people who help him find a new place in this world. One of the things that I'm really excited about is the fact that we have Tim Terry, who's also involved with this project. He's done a lot of the concept art that you've seen in the pitch video. He's going to be doing a prequel graphic novel that actually covers, Hunter's early years. So, the web series will cover this point in time with Hunter and his band as they face a new threat from the grunts, and the graphic novel is actually going to cover how he got to that point to begin with and where he's been. So it'll actually be a great add-on to the story that we're telling, and can be yours with one of the perks. We actually have the digital and hardbound versions that will be available as perks depending on your donation level. So I can't say it splits 50-50. It's probably, the aesthetic is definitely geared more towards Western because of all the locations that are very Western, but there are definitely fantasy elements, a lot of really great stuff that's going into those, so I'm excited to see that. So you'll definitely get both. At first glance it might seem traditional Western, and then as it continues you'll see a lot more of the fantasy. It's sort of a wry comedy drama because it basically covers, my sensibility is a very sarcastic sort of wit. That's how I am. people can probably tell you, and that's sort of how I write as well. So my characters tend to have a little bit of that. It's a period piece, but it's going to be, they have a modern sensibility about them in the way they talk, the way they react to each other, their quick-wittedness back and forth. So it is comedic, but it's definitely more like a wry, very sarcastic sense of humor. So, and then it's also got a lot of action elements. So there's gunslinging and adventure and all that kind of fun in there as well.